Let's be honest, when most of us go to our ballots or get our ballots, we really don't do a deep dive on who is running for school board. But that was before politics became so divisive. Now Republicans who feel shut out from public office here in the Bay Area have set their sights on these races.
Across the country, many of the most fiery political debates have been happening in a place that used to be considered pretty sleepy, local school board races. And now, as Bay Area voters head to the polls and fill out their ballots, some have been surprised to learn those national culture wars are even playing out here in some of the most liberal parts of California.
Nobody like this has ever run for school board before, and I've lived in Palo Alto for decades.
Dr. Melissa Michelson is a professor of political science at Menlo College. She says there's a candidate on her ballot who is against teaching critical race theory, or CRT.
Anti-CRT in her candidate statement is like, whoa.
That candidate is Ingrid Campos. She's running in the Palo Alto Unified School District. She's one of 16 candidates backed by the Silicon Valley Association of Republican Women.
The yard sign. I took it out of my yard.
Jan Soule is the group's president. She says she started an effort last year to recruit candidates to run for school boards this November.
I mean, it started with my manicurist, okay? And she's Vietnamese. And I talked to her about her kids. And she said, oh, but they don't have the same values that the parents have. And go, well, why is that? Because they've been in public school and they've been taught that socialism is good and, you know, America is bad.
We're going to have other trainings.
Soule provided us this video from the first recruitment meeting she held in a friend's backyard. She says 50 people showed up.
Father God, we thank you. And I thank you for these wonderful people who have said, I'm not willing to stand by and see our children indoctrinated.
Soule now has candidates running in 10 different school board races across the South Bay, including in San Jose, Palo Alto, Los Altos, Campbell, and Morgan Hill.
Who's this?
He's running in Cambrian.
Many of them are parents. For all of them, it's their first time ever running for office.
These are door hangers.
Soule showed us some of the candidates' campaign flyers.
They're not hiding what
they believe.
Many explicitly say they don't believe in discussing gender identities like transgender in schools and are against teaching critical race theory. One uses a quote and photo of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to make their case about how to talk about race.
If we just talked about slavery being bad, which we all agree is bad, right? But now they turn it around so the white people, white children and Asians have to apologize for their whiteness. Apologize. And that really is totally wrong.
We are not teaching critical race theory in K through 12. This is not the case. That is a misunderstanding of what critical race theory is.
Dr. Sarah Hill is a political science professor at Cal State Fullerton.
How are we going to talk about race in the classroom? How are we going to talk about things like LGBTQ people? Should books be banned? All of those sorts of things. We're seeing those as hot topics it's playing out across school board races.
Hill also points out these school board positions are nonpartisan, meaning no party affiliation is listed on the ballot. But she says in California, where Democrats make up the majority of registered voters, the effort to mobilize candidates to run for these school boards has been led predominantly by Republicans. The California GOP has even started this program called Parent Revolt, the goal to recruit and train school board candidates.
In California, there's a lot of frustration for Republicans because state offices are held by Democrats. Where can you make a difference? At the local level. And so school boards are those local races where the battle between Republicans and Democrats is still really playing out.
That has always been the strategy of the Santa Clara County Republican. The Republican Party for years said, well, we can run people for nonpartisan positions.
But even Soule acknowledges that this year something is different. She says she's never had this many candidates run for office. Dr. Michelson says given the area's political leanings, she's most surprised the candidates are being so upfront.
That does, of course, make me wonder, like, is that a winning message in Palo Alto? I'd be surprised. But again, if you're more conservative in this town, you don't tend to advertise it. So we'll see.
Soule says being upfront is part of their strategy.
If a voter really wants to look, they can make a decision.
She believes these issues are galvanizing voters, especially fed-up parents. She says just look at the school board recall in San Francisco.
Did that give you momentum? Did that make you think that you should do what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, okay, people are waking up. That's good. And if it can happen in San Francisco, it can happen almost anywhere, correct?
We just showed you an effort by a Republican group in the South Bay to target local school board races. A similar but slightly less organized effort is happening in Marin County. Unlike the South Bay, the candidates there are not talking as openly about those social issues, and some people aren't happy about that. But we did ask those questions, and we got some answers.
In a crowded election field, the biggest sign on San Marin Drive in Marin County is for one of the smallest races. Teef Gibbs Jensen.
I want you to give everybody one of these cards.
She's a candidate running for school board in the Novato Unified School District.
Hi, yes, it's Teef Gibbs Jensen. I'm running for school board.
Jensen is a mom of 2 recent Novato graduates and a local business owner. We met up with her in the final weeks of her campaign while she was walking her district door knocking.
And then we're going to walk up that way.
I have walked my entire district once, at least once, and now I'm on my second go-round again. And the number one thing that people are concerned about is the financial well-being of the district, and that's where we need to keep our focus.
On her campaign flyer, Jensen talks about the ABCs, which she describes as accountability, back to basics, and children first. What's not obvious from reading it is that Jensen is one of the most vocal conservative activists in Marin County. She actively campaigned to recall Governor Gavin Newsom, has organized protests against the COVID mandates.
It's segregationist, it's discriminatory.
And threatened to boycott businesses in Novato that required showing proof of vaccination.
I'm on record as being against the COVID vaccine, okay? I don't believe...
Are you vaccinated?
No, I'm not. And I don't believe that kids should be forced to get this.
No young people have died of COVID in Marin County, but they have died of suicide.
Jensen says her campaign is not about state or national politics, but her candidacy is part of a larger trend happening across the country, including the Bay Area. Conservative candidates running for small down-ballot races.
Local elections are nonpartisan, right? So officially, they're not running as a Democrat or a Republican.
Dr. Sarah Hill is a political science professor at Cal State Fullerton.
If you can make it not about party, folks might have a better chance of actually winning a seat and influencing policy.
This is a dramatic year for this kind of activity.
Pat Johnstone is the chair of the Marin Democratic Party. She says she's never seen anything like it.
The Republican Party in Marin County, I think, has a registration of about 18%. So we're a pretty blue county, and so it's often that Republicans don't even run.
Johnstone says Jensen is one of 9 school board and city council candidates across Marin County supported by Marin Freedom Rising, an anti-vaccine group. Also on the list, Faye Barrett, a candidate running for school board in San Rafael.
Faye by the Bay.
Like Jensen, Barrett is running for office for the very first time. She says she also wants to focus on learning loss during the pandemic.
Academic skills, basic skills. That's my main issue.
But when it comes to hot topics before the school board, like discussing LGBTQ plus issues and gender identities in school and COVID vaccines, Barrett did not give us clear answers on where she stands.
Are you vaccinated? Like, do you believe in vaccinations?
Well, I'm not going to answer that question because that is, I think that's private medical information.
Do you believe kids should get the COVID vaccine?
It's up to their parents.
Johnstone says she believes this is strategic.
In their campaign materials, they're being sweetness and light about building the community and things like that, and it's hard to know what their full agenda is.
I'm not trying to cover anything up, and I'm certainly not trying to, obfuscate anything.
Jensen says fiscal concerns and learning loss are what's motivating her to run, not social issues. But those are the issues that are firing up school boards across the country, particularly issues around LGBTQ plus students. School boards and states have been enacting legislation to restrict students from talking about these issues, removing protections for transgender students, even closing student newspapers for publishing pride issues. As for Jensen, she says she opposes the district flying the LGBTQ plus flag during Pride Month, which the current board approved during this meeting in May.
What the district is setting itself up for is if somebody wants to come in and fly a flag, then they are going to have to let them. And it could be the satanic flag. It could be the don't tread on me flag.
Well, are you comparing LGBTQ plus issues to
the satanic flag and the rainbow flag to the satanic flag?
How about the "Don't Tread on Me" flag? How about a Trump flag? How about the Russian? How about the Russian? How about the Russian flag?
Jensen went on to say books about transgender people should not be allowed in elementary schools.
The transgender thing is a much greater issue. Okay, those kids are seriously mentally, they have mental problems. Okay, they're having very, very tough time processing their sexual identity. My daughter had a friend in high school who decided she was a boy, okay? And I discussed that with her. I said, I'm not gonna call her by her boy name. I understand that you think that's disrespectful, but I'm not going to do that. When kids are younger than 18, the school should not be involved in any way about their sexuality. It should be between the parents and the kids.
Do you believe the school should allow that child to go by their preferred name?
I don't know. That's a really tough question.
What's so scary to you about a young person deciding that they want to transition?
Because I don't think it's biologically possible, and I think you're lying to kids. You're either a boy or a girl.
You don't believe in transgender?
No.
It's horrifying.
Among those living in the district Jensen hopes to win is Suzanne Ford, a trans woman who is the executive director of San Francisco Pride.
Is a book about a young child transitioning appropriate?
No.
Ford was hurt and outraged when we showed her Jensen's comments.
That she could equate being LGBTQ with mental illness in children is insane.
Ford says she feels Jensen has not been upfront about these beliefs during her campaign.
I do think they don't want everyone to know what her real views are. That's why it's so important that we do these interviews with politicians and people running for office. We need to know what they really believe at the beginning of their careers, and hopefully we can make it a real referendum on those beliefs.
Dr. Hill says it's hard to predict how well candidates like Jensen will do in the November election.
Certainly in some areas, these are strong candidates who are doing really well and they have backing, but it's probably a more conservative area. You get surprises all the time, though. If you get your friends to door knock and put up the signs and write the postcards and all those sorts of things, you have a chance there.
Do you think messaging like this is going to resonate in Marin County?
In terms of teaching something or pushing something on other people or pushing them to accept something, I don't think that's a good thing. And I think the community doesn't want that either.
With the pandemic, folks felt like school boards were making decisions, but parents didn't feel like they were part of it. It woke folks up to, oh, school boards are important.
And I do want to say that we know some people will find the viewpoints expressed by Jensen in our interview to be upsetting, but these are candidates for public office, and we feel voters deserve to know where they stand. Big picture, Dan and Karina, the number one thing I'm hearing from people on both sides of this issue is that voters more than ever this year really need to do their research on who is running, check their ballots, and see where those candidates stand.